Welcome, everyone, to the DevPortal Awards, the second gala event of the year 2022. My name is Laura Bosch, and together with my colleagues, Rebecca, Claudia, Jan, and Adam, working backstage, we'll be hosting the gala tonight for you. If you have missed the first gala event, we'll link you to it in the slides or in the chat at the end, but only after we know the finalists announced today. I told this at the first gala event too, but I think it is worth asking it again before we go. And why is this even important? Why do we need to showcase the vanguard of API documentation portals, the excellent and the innovative solutions out there? Freely put, after Brené Brown, I am a recovering reductionist, and now I'm learning to explicitly and purposefully engage with the complexity of socio-technical systems. As I learned while hosting a presentation from Chris McDermott at the API Docs conference, in practice theory, a team can only really make progress if they actually know what good looks like. And having the feel and a taste for excellence, I think, is this catalyst that we had to add to the meaning, the materials, and the competences that we hopefully already have. I am honored and so excited to share with you the final results of what the organizers, the nominees, and the jury worked on since, well, basically this time last year. We started with revising all nomination categories. Then the nominees had to answer some basic questions, starting with having to choose a maximum of 3 categories. From September on, 3 jury groups were busy surveying and scoring these nominated portals. And then they discussed what aspects they found especially noteworthy. And now we are here to share with you the trends and the highlights that presented themselves this year. The key is not necessarily in winning an award, although, well, I have to admit that it is always a surprise to get one, and it really feels awesome. But so even if this is a competition on the surface, the ultimate purpose is to learn what we all may strive towards. How and why should we get better to further contribute to the success of software integrations? So, which portals were the brave and proud nominees in 2022? 43 developer portals were validly nominated from across many industries and business profiles. Some of them recurring contestants in new categories, some of them new to show their brilliance. A panel of 11 jurors surveyed the nominees over 15 categories. Each juror is independent of the DevPortal Awards organizers, an expert in their field, and their explorations and evaluations were strictly vendor and gateway neutral. Today, I would like to introduce you to 8 jurors of the whole panel. First, I will ask Leah Tucker, Alex Akimov, Professor Michael Meng, and Tony Sansone on their impressions and suggestions. We don't have subscripts on this platform, so we will publish the interviews just like the one a few weeks ago with a full transcript later. After this conversation, we will hear the results in the remaining 6 nomination categories. And then I will ask Sophie Rutard, Meenakshi Khatri, Bob Watson, and Matthew Revell on their findings and insights. And as a finale, we get to know the winners of the best overall awards this year. So let's start with introductions. Leah, you have been for more than 15 years in the industry, where you've held various positions in product management, engineering, and technical writing. And today you help companies launch their next generation platforms to the world. What prior experiences possibly gave you a pose now as a juror, or, well, I guess it's no secret that you've also been representing a former nominee.
So having been as a web developer documenting user experience standards, then a technical writer, product management, both for Sabre, and now as a software integration engineer, applying all of those practices to next generation portals and platforms, it's hard not to notice each of those components, and how the whole developer experience plays out. So I would say I'm looking at docs and the developer experience and how that comes across to an end user, the simplicity. So I would say in terms of what gives me pause, those would be the primary components.
And Alex, also used to represent the former nominee. You have also 2 decades of experience in the tech industry. And everyone who knows you knows that you're very passionate about a great developer experience and everything that comes to it. Intuitive API design, versatile developer tools, simple and comprehensive technical documentation. And you work on empowering the developer community and to create authentic developer relations. Most people know you as the former head of API at Adyen, and now you're building the API platform at Monite, where the integration and the great documentation is the key for the companies who connect with the Monite APIs. Welcome. And the same question, how is it to now be a judge?
Hello, everyone. I'm super excited to be a jury member this year. And as you mentioned, I've been working on developer portals for a long time myself. And since the start of this award, I was, of course, following everything what was happening. Every year we were submitting our applications, looking at the best practices and everything. And also we were super lucky one year that Adyen Developer Portal won 2 awards. So it was really exciting to see and that this work was recognized. But now when I'm also on another side of this process, it's so amazing to see how much work it is actually behind all these nominees, how much work every jury member does, how many nominees we have, how many different great ideas every company puts into the developer portal. So it's an amazing hard work to pick some winners from that amount of great developer portals that we currently see in the industry. So really my hats off now to Pronovix, to all the jury members of Developer Portal Awards this year and in previous years, because this is impressive.
Thank you. Anthony, you also spent more than 2 decades, 25 years, documenting and supporting computer hardware, software, services, and you specialize in data protection and user security. Probably many people in the audience also know you as patron saint of the API, the docs, and recurring speaker and educator. You have a very broad experience in developing and maturing people and processes in engineering teams. You've worked for startups and you worked for large multinational companies, and now you're leading the technical writing team for Dart and Flutter for Google. Now, how is it to be sitting in the jurors chair?
I always find juries fascinating because you have to really dig into the specifics, the minutia, and do so in a timely fashion. So it's that flickering back and forth, saying, "Am I taking too much time? Am I taking enough time?" So you want to respect the work that people put in, which I was just blown away by all of the various portals we saw and how much depth and interest and care went into everything. And I want to respect that. Being a documentarian, you pay attention to what you could explain to somebody else and say, did somebody leave me with the and then or why questions? And if they didn't, I knew that things were on the right path.
In our 4th interviewee today, Professor Michael Meng, as our recurring juror, welcome back and thank you again. You are a professor at the Applied Linguistics at Merseburg University of Applied Science in Germany. And you're now teaching courses on text analysis, text production, research methods, and cognitive psychology, both in the Bachelor Engineering and in the Master of Arts program in the Technical Communications. You regularly present at conferences, such as the European Academic Colloquium on Technical Communication, at Write the Docs, or the annual TC Verticum conferences. How is it different from last year? Do you see any difference? And is that prior experience as a juror making you act differently this year?
Well, hello, everyone. It's great to be in the jury again. And for me, first and foremost, it's a great learning experience to see what the current trends are, the directions that different companies take, emphasis they place on certain features, and so on. Comparing to last year, I think there's not a big difference. I mean, we again have a very, very large number of companies that applied, and that was also the case last year. But looking back, say 5 years, right, what you see is the interest has grown continuously. The overall quality, I think, has grown impressively. So a couple of years ago, we had some portals that really stood out, right? But it's different this year, and it has been different last year already. So we have many, many excellent portals, and as already mentioned, it's very difficult to really pick a winner. And but of course, it's also a challenge because you really have to make up your mind and reflect on what really an innovation is today and what could be the standard of tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. It comes up at every choice that, yes, we call it an award for the best, but in the end, it's ultimately a celebration, right?
Yes.
And do you see, and I will ask Michael first, do you see a certain aspect or aspects of developer portals coming more into focus as opposed to how they were a couple of years ago, maybe abandoned or not really thought of?
Yeah, I think some of the topics that we addressed in our jury, I think, have or do receive more attention today than perhaps a couple of years ago, because portals now really address the entire developer journey, right? So things like findability, for example, are, I think, getting more important. API programs get more mature and grow, and offerings grow. So companies spend more thought on how to make their offerings visible, how to lead potential users, customers to the offer that fits their needs best, right? Addressing the needs of different stakeholders and so on. So that is one issue. Then onboarding is also an issue. I mean, it has been an issue and regarded as important a couple of years ago, but reducing the friction, providing opportunities to test APIs immediately without deep technical knowledge, providing stakeholders that are involved in the selection process, for example, with appropriate offerings like business analysts or consultants. I see that the offerings that portals provide are getting more sophisticated, more mature, and more comprehensive.
Do you see this similarly? I'm asking everybody else now.
I would argue yes. The biggest difference I'm seeing now is a lot more channel specific views, like saying, okay, hi, here's how you would apply this API in this industry or in this manner, or this, rather than just saying, here's a spec, go suffer. They kind of walk you through what you need to understand for your specific use case, for your specific company and industry, which I think is a nice touch. You can see the more mature portals get much farther into that. The maturity seems to be specification, example, self-testing example, then more into channel, industry, application. And that maturity is, and I'm not saying that's the end of the journey, but I know that that's on its way, and I'm very curious to see what it's going to look like past that at this point.
I can totally subscribe to this point of view. I think there is a common trend because many companies now see more and more value of having great documentation. And it's not only the documentation team that is struggling with making it great, right? So usually there is also a marketing department now, sales, developers, everybody in the organization, they come, they contribute, and they want to see how this all is streamlined with, with the main website, with the main journey, the main language, how to make the user journey consistent throughout all the stages, and documentation is a super important part of it. And it's impressive to see, especially in some cases, when the product is super complex, and it's impressive to see how people manage to make a great documentation out of that, hand-holding basically a user through all the stages, through the first onboarding step to the moment they go live.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Along the lines of what everyone else mentioned, it takes a village to create a world-class developer portal, from technical writing to product management. You have to bring together the perfect developer experience for your target audience. So I saw more refined and clear entry points with solution finders, product catalogs to aid findability, and that becoming more of the standard over insight search, which I saw more in the past. Second, dashboard only versus technical integration audiences, and offering clear entry points at the very beginning of the user journey. Also, interactive portals. I noticed more on cloning a sample, running a request, even deploy capabilities within the portal. So built-in tools that keep the user engaged. It's really exciting to see.
Do you see this as a standard expectation by now from a software or business developer coming to a portal wanting to integrate, to be handheld on their journey, or not yet? This is still a novelty.
I'd argue right now it is kind of a novelty, but they should. The amount of developer to API work is decreasing in my mind. That you start seeing pre-built components that people just say, give me the pieces I need to attach to, let me understand how that works, and let me get on my way. So it's becoming more, not commoditized might be too sterile a word, but it's kind of coming to that point, and people who are ahead of the curve are making that more possible.
And there is, of course, certain expectations now within developers who will be using your developer portal, that things should work in a certain way. And it's also in everybody's best interest to save time on how quickly developers can integrate with your product. And that's why I think more and more owners and creators of developer portals will try to implement these elements into their portal, be it information architecture, content strategy, filtering mechanism, product catalogs, or maybe some wizards and other types of experience that helps people get to the point. Yeah, it's impressive to see how it's improving nowadays.
I think this is a trend, and I think this definitely meets expectations of developers. So we've been doing some research on developer expectations and how they try to get into an API and which strategies they follow. And one of the results that stood out was there's, of course, different strategies, right? Those who need code examples and want to start with code examples right away and don't want to read a lot, and others who try to kind of understand the concepts first and then go on to the specifics of their problem. But you need to support all those different strategies, right? And using, for example, a 3-column layout is one of the obvious solutions to the problem.
Let me turn this question around to a bit tricksy one. Is there something you wish that would disappear?
Disappear, you mean as a common practice? That is
Yes.
a common practice right now. Okay, yeah, I can go first, sorry, because I really want all documentation to be easily accessible for everyone. I think it's a great way to go in most of the cases, unless it's really, really private product that you don't want to expose to the public audience. But I want all, basically documentation behind login shouldn't be the norm in the industry. It's my belief.
Definitely. So it should be public, and you should get. This is also a matter of trust, of course. I mean, you really have to see what's there, evaluate it, and if you need to provide a lot of data beforehand, I think that's not a good move. So I think many portals already do that. There were a few where there's room for improvement, so to say, but that's definitely a very important point.
I'm going to be more basic and say that I would like to see more atomic API resources, not trying to do everything in one massive resource with multiple discrimination points and things like that, because those are just impossible to document and impossible to work with. And having field, this will sound so picky, but having field descriptions that are not just identifiers or circular reference, where you say it's like, last name, last name of the person. No, like actually define it with some context as to why it matters in this particular thing. Give each field a full definition. Spend the time, respect the user, give them information, not just like, oh, I have this field, but I have no idea what it does. That's got to stop.
I hope to see, and on that note, monolithic left navigation menus with every single product accessible in the cyclopedia to be a thing of the past. I have, noticed a lot of the world-class developer portals, or the portals that we were looking at, having those clear entry points from the very beginning, product catalog with filtering, having documentation at your fingertips without a whole lot of distractions in between, like, the infinite number of things that you can do in the left nav. I hope to see navigation become cleaner and just I'm here to accomplish this, with breadcrumbs to help me get back to, a central landing page where I can do something else. Because I think I've seen that, when developers are looking to accomplish a task, they're looking to accomplish a task at a time. They're building out an integration. They might come back and forth. So monolithic navigation menus, I hope to see that go away.
It seems that you agree. So then, turning around once more, in our prior discussions looking at portals, such things as localization, search, more powerful search, and samples that you can totally download, these came up as we wish or we upload. What do you think about these aspects or other solutions that would be lovely to see more of, but maybe, let's say, the times are not ready for it? Culture, legislation, technology, that it's at this point bordering sci-fi, but you wish it would be possible.
What I would love to see is deeper integration of, say, information resources and the actual development environment, right? I think something like context sensitivity, a more sophisticated ways to get to the information that you need to solve a specific problem at the time when you need it, right? I mean, portals improved tremendously with respect to kind of search offerings and consistency of navigation and how they structure their overall offering, which of course also helps to kind of get to the content that you want. But yeah, a more intelligent, a more automatic support, suggestion of topics, an easier way to the information, that would be cool. But I guess this will take a little more effort and time until we are there.
I would totally agree with that. I think the ability to create resources and manage my integration from the portal, if you're telling me to create some resource before I can use a product, can you just let me do it where I am, from within the portal, not direct me to some other surface? So I'd love to see a more integrated developer experience built into the portal.
If you want to talk about sci-fi, I would kind of say that let's talk about, no one uses an API or a single resource in a bubble. They use it to call another API, to gather information for another endpoint, which calls information for another endpoint. I'd like to be able to see you take, for lack of a better word, like a GUI and just say, patch in this resource, which then passes information to this resource, which then passes. Just literally do it like building blocks, and then say like you say, here's what I want to start with, here's what I want to end with. Suggest some ideas as to how I would get there, and then I run one. It generates the code. I run one thing, it does the whole thing all at once, and I'm done. My solution I can build, not work with these individual API endpoints.
I think in general, things like wizards, they can give you a great idea how the integration can work, and with like combining all the blocks together. But also, when I was observing developers' behavior, I realized many times that people prefer to write code themselves because they still want to be creators. They like to be guided, but they don't like this code to be generated from somewhere. So ideally, if we think about sci-fi, my scenario would be something like from Matrix, when you can just upload information. Just okay, now I know Kung Fu. Now I know how to write this. But it's pretty far away from where we are right now.
Okay, so ending on the sci-fi note, thank you very much for the crystal balling and for the very immediate suggestions also to the teams who are building developer portals. And I thank you again for the incredible amount of effort and very actual hours that went into it, daytime, nighttime, weekends, and the attention that you spent on these portals. I thank you very much for that. And yeah, we're going to hear who won.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I thank again the jurors. Some of you might be actually listening to this from API days. I know that Alex Akimov is, for example, presenting at API days. Thank you for the feedback. So we're going to come back to another interview, but who are the finalists? In each category, I will first give a short explanation with the slide listing the nominees. And if you would like to see a short introduction on the DevPortals nominated, you can find them on devportalawards.org under the nominees menu. The descriptions there are what the portals provided themselves about themselves. Let's see what the jurors think about these portals. Often we think of developer experience in the terms of the touch points between developers and our products, documentation, support, SDKs, and of course the dev portal. But a truly excellent developer experience begins before a line of code is written or an API key is generated. And one of the most important characteristics of great developer experience is a clear relationship between the developer and the vendor. Straightforward answers are crucial to questions such as, how much does this cost? How long will this product be around? Am I the product? From among the 14 nominees in the Best Served API Business Model Award, the jury selected the following finalists. The jury said that they were delighted by High Mobility's pricing transparency. In an industry where call now for pricing is often the norm, High Mobility states in bold text the starting prices for each API call. Perhaps even more importantly, High Mobility puts the company's products into context through high-level use case explanations and low-level explanations of each item of data they make available. The jury was particularly struck by NatWest's Bank of APIs developer portal. Like many banks, NatWest offers a mix of free and paid-for APIs. Banking regulations also mean that they must limit some APIs only to licensed operators. NatWest makes it clear which API products are paid for and which are restricted, while offering very clear use case explanations for every part of their offering. Mercedes-Benz developer site caught the jury's attention with their highly polished API product pages that provide shortcuts to understanding the value of each product alongside the black and white facts of what's on offer. And the winner of the Best Served API Business Model category in 2022 is, congratulations to Findability's developer portal. The jury sends the following message about this category as well. The standard was very high this year, and we're excited by the direction of travel towards clear API business models as the default for our industry. And I would like my colleagues to help me call on stage Armin Firoskahi, Head of Performance Marketing at Findability. Hello, congratulations.
Hello. Thank you so much. I'm surprised. Yeah, thank you so much. It's an honor.
Likewise. Would you tell me a little bit about your role, the role that you play in this developer portal yourself?
Well, we've been around for 10 years. A lot of effort has been gone in developing the actual portal in past 10 years, and I joined the company around a year ago, and finally trying to give it as much exposure as possible, trying to market the perfected, refined product after all these years. So yeah, that's basically my role currently.
And about the portal, who can access this portal, and what does this portal achieve for your business?
This portal is our entire business at the moment. So that's like the second part, and any registered business can access this portal. We are not offering these services to individuals at the moment because of the way we work with OEMs. So you need to be a real business, a registered company, to be able to access the API.
Congratulations again to your entire team and anyone who contributed to this portal. And yeah, see you next year.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks, everyone.
And next, let's see the 13 contestants for the Best API Reference Documentation Award. This is one of the most challenging categories, not only because of the large number of submissions, but also due to the fact that there is a limited set of tools being available for reference documentation. Thus, many companies seem to choose one of those instruments, and as a result, their reference documentation has the same set of UI elements and very close functionality. But even with that in mind, truly developer-focused API references will always stand out. So this was a lot of back and forth among the jurors. And let's see whom they chose, which portals they chose as the finalists. The jury wants to give a special call out to Plate developer documentation for its unique style, which is consistent with their overall brand image, and the portal serving up extensive information on various API aspects. 2 finalists were chosen, the Katana portal and Fiserv's developer portal for the Europe, Middle East, Africa region. The API reference on the Katana developer portal is uploaded for providing well-detailed explanations of any additional API concepts and for its comprehensive API reference pages for all API resources. The EMEA region developer portal from Fiserv is notable because it has complete API reference docs with detailed navigation at every stage and cross-linking to other interactive elements and recipes, and for its ability to make authorized API calls within the same user interface. The portal also gives access to other developer experience assets like Postman collections and Open API contracts. And from between the 2 finalists, the Katana developer portal and the Fiserv developer portal, the winner is Fiserv developer portal for the EMEA region. Congratulations to the team. Let me tell you a little bit about this portal. So Fiserv itself enable merchants to accept payments. The developer portal is where customers can discover, understand, and integrate with Fiserv developer tools and APIs. So this portal is designed to make it simple for developers to understand the products that they offer, easily test them with their browser, and subsequently integrate with them. Onboarding takes a few seconds, and the user is set up with a sandbox access immediately. The site also offers Android point of sale, which is an industry first, according to themselves. Hello.
Hey, hello.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'm
This was
actually
quite a
joining.
win.
I'm actually joining from a hotel room because I'm at API Days Paris.
Oh,
So-
and I heard there's a crowd and snow
There was some frost.
and strikes, as usual.
Yes.
Would you introduce yourself? Whom are you as a representative of Fiserv?
Yes. So hi everyone. I'm Ryan Clifford. I lead our developer platform from the portal side and our API side. So very happy to be here and to have won. It's very nice to have, in particular for this award, because we've made such a big focus on API design first, and actually how do you build a developer experience which really focuses on the API and building beautiful APIs and everything you need to go along with it. So very happy to have won this one. And we have a fantastic team who, some of which is here and some is still scattered around the country in other countries who couldn't make it today.
Oh, then maybe you can still go celebrate tonight out
Yes.
in Paris. Congratulations again to your entire team, which I think is a really big team. And well, let's hope. Let's see the other awards.
Great.
Thank you, Ryan, for joining. The best findability of product in a DevPortal. Who are the nominees? What are the examples of well-done experience for findability in developer portals? There is rarely a one-shoe-fits-all solution. Information architecture can vary from portal to portal in terms of the complexity of the products being offered to the simplicity of APIs that stand out from each other. Setting up a dev portal is not just about sharing a bucket of building blocks. All the blocks have to be available, accessible, findable, and discoverable. Organizations that do this well give the developer portal users a structure. There are examples, the documentation is there where it is expected, troubleshooting is easy. In short, the overall experience is organized and in place. A landing page with entry points for the main audiences, a catalog, a basic search, a faceted search, and suggestive discoverability are all examples of ways in which an API consumer can find your APIs. We had 14 contestants for the best findability of product in the DevPortal Award. From among them, the jury wants to give a special mention to 3 portals for their product findability solutions. The Nationwide Partner Portal, for its very clear use cases to guide the user by type, and the Fiserv Developer Studio has great findability, albeit you find it below the fold. It highlights big services up front, and a very clear product categorization is carried throughout the site. Also highlighting the FIS Developer Engine for its impressive solution finder. 2 finalists were chosen in the findability of products category. KBC has an outstanding portal in terms of findability. It has superior categorization with something extra, starting with product tags. Differentiates business personas, offering business solutions in the top navigation and the product catalog. Though coming soon takes into consideration no-code audience, a rising trend in the industry. Very easy to navigate around the site using your here breadcrumbs. And Visa Developer Center. About this, one of the jurors said, if I could design a template for best product findability, it would be based off of this portal. Very clear strategies starting from the homepage to orient the user, clear click avoidance, and superior product catalog to aid findability. Though site-wide search needs improvement and top level, you are here navigation aids. And the best findability of products in the DevPortal Award this year is given to the Visa Developer Center. Congratulations.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's an honor to be nominated and then to subsequently win.
Would you introduce yourself as in representative of the Visa Developer Center?
Yeah, happily. I'm one of the product managers supporting user experience and client feedback for the developer portal.
And would you tell me, what does this developer portal achieve for Visa?
Yeah, it's our entry point for fintech clients and other traditional banks to access our variety of products.
Which iteration? How many of the year is the Visa Developer Center at? When did you start building it?
It launched in 2015 initially, and it's grown since then subsequently. Yeah.
Well, congratulations again for the award, and keep it up, please, because it's an inspiration for everyone else.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. And good luck to the other contestants.
Thank you very much. Next up is Best Onboarding. The developer portals that strike the right balance of just enough information to get an end user engaged, access, and up and running with an API product. You see our nominees. Who are the finalists? The jury wants to give a special call out to Hazelcast Developer Docs, for it provides a very comprehensive set of tutorials that can be filtered by programming language, product, and use case. 2 finalists were chosen: Fastly Developer Hub and Contrast Security Developer Portal. The Contrast Security Developer Central presents onboarding resources in a fresh and dynamic way that tries to pull developers in. The portal provides a rich set of onboarding resources that consider different use cases. The Fastly Developer Hub offers many ways to onboard tailored to the needs of different target audiences and supporting different strategies to learn by studying core concepts, setting up a test environment, playing with the code examples, demos, and starter kits, or watching a demo. The portal provides an impressively comprehensive set of example apps and demos, which cover a broad range of different use cases. Tried-out functionality is built in, accessible immediately, and even available from the start page. The guides and tutorials are written clearly and consider different levels of expertise, for example, by linking to other resources. And the winner of the Best Onboarding Award in 2022 is the Fastly Developer Hub. Congratulations. And I would like to invite Andrew Betts, Head of Developer Relations at Fastly, to the stage.
Hello.
Hi. Hello. Welcome and congratulations.
Thank you.
I guess you didn't expect this, or you did maybe. I hope there's going to be some celebrations. So, Head of Developer Relations at Fastly, right?
Yes, I have the honor of leading developer relations at Fastly, and my team is responsible for developer.fastly.com.
Mm-hmm. How big is your team? How many people are you working with?
We have 7 people across 3 continents, and they work incredibly hard to bring the developer hub to the community. I'd love to thank them all personally, if that's okay. Journey, Chris, Kat, Mark, Kaylin, Dora. I think they've all done a fantastic job.
An applause for everybody who built the portal. One of the jurors remarked that the Fastly portal, they really want to get you started fast and without friction. Very well done. Provides a lot of helpful resources, testing options that you can use immediately. And another juror said, we're really impressed that Fastly finally did the interactive tutorial that Stripe was known for. You can try and see an API that is quite complicated. To do this is not easy. Congratulations. When did you start building this portal?
Yeah, I think finally is a good comment. I joined Fastly actually wanting this, and so I'm very pleased that we've been able to get as far with it as we have. We started in the beginning of 2020, a month before COVID actually, and so this developer hub is a pandemic baby.
Congratulations again, and thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, and also thank you very much to our developer community. You're the people we do this for. It's the reason we put a feedback button on every single page of the developer hub. We love hearing from you, so please get in touch.
In this year's cohort of nominations, the jury panel, after a lot of conversations, has decided not to give an award in 2 categories. The best dev portal for citizen developers, or also known as the low-code, no-code category, and in the best use of monetization in a dev portal category. These 2 categories seem to still be walking on the edge of dev portal use, and we are excitedly looking forward to the nominations in the year 2023 and hope to be celebrating exemplary solutions. And now, as promised in the beginning of the event, let's hear from jurors Sophie Rutard, Meenakshi Khatri, Bob Watson, and Matthew Revell. Well, who are they? And what do they work on? And what suggestions do they have to share with you? Welcome to the interview with our working group jurors from the 2022 DevPortal Awards. And we have here with us Sophie Rutard, Meenakshi Khatri, Bob Watson, and Matthew Revell. And I would like to introduce you first. Sophie, you have been representing both a nominated portal before, and you've also been a juror last year. You're working for years now as an API strategist for Allianz Trade. Some people might know it as Euler Hermes, former name. And you were behind creating the first customer-facing API of the trade insurance industry and putting in place a support team and the developer portal that goes with it. You've also been significantly contributing to the Euler Hermes digital transformation program, which resulted in a fully API and cloud-centric IT strategy that is currently being rolled out as a multi-year initiative. Welcome. What are you busy now with at Allianz Trade?
Well, since this year, I'm working as a program manager for Data Hub, which is sort of the platform that makes data available of good quality and accessible to make value out of it. So it has data streaming, it has a data warehouse that replaces a number of legacy data warehouses. And it also has the governance of data and the API governance still.
I also would like to welcome Meenakshi Khatri. Meenakshi was representing the Gizeke and Devrient Convego Connect APIs developer portal last year as a nominee. And you have been working as API product and business specialist across various fintech companies for over 12 plus years, where you bring a broad range of professional experience in launching APIs as a product and services, roll out API innovation transformation programs, and building API-related digital experience across various industries. And to top that, you've been working as a Java developer for more than 6 years. In your current role at Gizeke and Devrient, what do you do?
Hi, Laura. Hello, everyone. So currently, I am leading the developer portal team as well, and also the other products in Gizeke and Devrient. And my focus has always been to think out of the box, because how APIs can be perceived in a classical technical companies is not the way we can replicate it. We work very much with hardware products such as payment cards. So even if we want to launch APIs, we have to strategically decide who would be our customers, who would use the APIs. Is it a system or is it an end user? And how can we then roll it out to the right target audience? So that has been quite exciting. I started evangelizing developer portal and APIs in my company 5 years ago. And now we have a developer portal which is serving all our customers across the world. What's exciting is our customers didn't think that a company like Gizeke and Devrient would offer APIs, and we broke that stereotype, and we offer APIs to manage all the payment industry related data. So that's what I do in my current role.
Thank you and welcome.
Thank you.
Matthew Revell, known to many as DevRel Supreme and behind the DevRel Con Global Conference Series. You're also known to many as the founder of Hopi, where you provide DevRel strategy consulting and developer-targeted content to help clients across the world understand, reach, and work with software developers. And then some people may know that you're also behind developerrelations.com, which is the largest library in the world for developer relations content. So thank you for all your work in developer relations and welcome as a juror. How is the experience so far?
Well, it's been really interesting to see all of the real variety of developer portals that are out there. And what's really wonderful for me is seeing how different industries and different, I guess, target audiences are being brought into the world of APIs, of developer portals and developer experience now.
And let me introduce our fourth juror in the group, Bob Watson, who has been with the DevPortal Awards from the very beginning. You are currently senior technical writer at Google, where you bring industry experience and academic research together with the enthusiasm to prepare tomorrow's engineers and technical communicators for the diverse challenges they'll face as professionals. You also blog at Docs by Design, where you ponder over technical writing, API documentation, and the world in general. Thank you for being the juror again. You're the pillar of this award, and we had many conversations about whether this is a competition or a celebration, or what is this anyway. Welcome. And I would like to ask you first, in this year's nominee cohort, was there a nominee that specifically stood out for you?
Yes, I'm a technical writer at Google, and I'm right now the lead and technical writer for the Angular web framework. And so technical writing is kind of what I key in on. And one of the websites that stood out in the competition, whose writing just literally caused me to sit down and take notice, was that of the Ivan's website. And I just, like I said, when I see crisp, clear writing and topics that are well organized and they're just a pleasure to read, I think that deserves to be called out and recognized as such. And so I want to make sure that that got noticed, because all the entrants were interesting and amazing in different ways. But like I said, the one near and dear to my heart is the writing. And so I wanted to call that out.
And in the overall picture, what aspect of developer portals do you see coming more into focus if you compare it with several years ago?
What I saw most coming together, and I think it's a good thing, but is that I'm seeing kind of more standardized API reference. That's always been a subject near and dear to my heart, as you know, when I was a developer and as a writer, because I think that's what's the most under-recognized aspect of documentation. It's great to get started, but at the end of the day, you need the references to actually get finished. So that's what I call the getting finished content. And it's good to see some of that standardized, so it's a little easier to follow. And I think standardizing having clear reference topics mean to me that there was a thought given to the whole API experience, not just the feature. And so that's like the feature, how's it going to be used? How's it going to be integrated with other things? I think when you see good API documentation, that you generally will find a clear API underneath it. And so that's something I think we're seeing more of, but I'd like to see a lot more of that, just because that makes the whole developer experience a lot smoother.
And this is what I have also seen the trend in the recent years, that when APIs were created in the past 5 years compared to now, many companies decided, oh, let's just create a Swagger file and make it publicly available. But that is not it. You need to explain the prerequisites needed to even go through the document, as well as the post requirements, which is once you have used an API, next, now what? Are we going to launch it? How are we going to put it in the production system? And these this is what one key thing that actually interests me with all the nominees.
When I see how people add videos and how they add use cases, concrete real life use cases that give you a direction on what can you do with that API in your own business process. I see there's a lot of investment done into this, people really putting time on it, also providing the right visuals that help facilitate the understanding of it. That's really great. And I know it's a lot of effort to produce that. And people are ready to do that because they see the value in making the users of the portals as autonomous as possible. That's really great to see.
And one of the things that we've seen in the developer portals that have been nominated for the awards is the idea of use case driven product marketing documentation. So yeah, I think documentation sometimes can be marketing and vice versa. And what's really great about that is it helps you to take this raw API and get an idea of how you could actually make it work. And I think it's Mercedes-Benz have a section on each of their API overview pages, which is something like, why does this matter to me? And I think that's really important. And the second thing I would say that I'm noticing is the blurring of the lines between traditional documentation and things that put the API into the hands of the developer without them having to make too much effort.
I'd just like to add to that, the interactivity is, I think, becoming more and more of an expectation. But what I've seen is that it, in and of itself, it isn't sufficient. You still need the supporting documentation around it, whether it's in the reference, you need to show, what the parameters are, so that, and then have the ability to try them. You can't just have the ability to try them without an explanation of what they're doing. Likewise, in tutorials, it's important to have the ability to, read and then try, but you can't just have code, because just having code is where we were without documentation. So that was the read the code documentation, and that's one way to do it. But that's where the technical writing can come and help explain what's going on, and then with the interactivity, you can try it. So I think that's the gold standard, is to have both. Having good documentation is great, but you need to try it. Being able to try it is great, but you need to know what you're doing. And so having those side by side, I think, is the powerful combination.
I also think, besides trying out the APIs, the key thing which I still felt amongst all the nominees was how quickly I can reach the API reference page. So if I know the company, or if I know which domain they are trying to target their APIs, as a developer, I would prefer to directly just jump to the API reference without having a lengthy sign-up process. This is also something which I think is not a nice to have, but a must to have feature, because the more restricted the APIs are, the less they are getting exposed to the outside world.
I'd like to add to that the part on communities. I see that forums, they kind of are nothing special anymore. They're pretty much everywhere, and that's good. And then what's really interesting is then those portals that go far beyond that, to really animate the users, to give feedback, to give responses in a very transparent way so everybody can benefit of it.
Can I ask the other way around? So this is the things that you're happy to see. What are the things that you wish would stop being standardly done? And it's time that we stop with that.
When the marketing and business side of the documentation is apart from the developer side, I think it's important to recognize that the marketing, the API audience is a technical one, and that the marketing interests are technical, and that the technical interests still have an interest in the business. And so keeping those separate, I think, while I understand all the reasons why that happens, I think that that's not necessarily a good sign for a customer to see they're treating this separately. What's my experience going to be? Once I sell it, am I going to be on my own? I want to know that they're in this with me, and that we have a shared interest in success. And I think when you can merge those together, where the marketing and the technical sides, the value proposition side of the documentation is close to the explanation of how it works. I think that's the part I'd like to see more, because then to me as a customer, that would say that we have a much shared interest in acquisition and application, because I can see that's how they've organized their site.
I'd echo that. I would say that I'm kind of really surprised at how often companies put a lot of effort into creating an API, and then the documentation, or if it exists, the developer portal is really just makes the assumption that the developer working with that tool has no choice but to work with it, and that the decision to use that API was perhaps made on a golf course somewhere between two people who never touch code.
I completely agree with what you're saying, and I think it's important to understand that developers are not just coming in and executing and then it's working. They are part of the company they work for, and they are an elementary part to that. And also for the decision to take one API or another, they are elemental, because they will confirm to the decision makers eventually that they see that this service looks good and it has the basics that they need to build a solid solution. And I think not taking that into account and, for example, doing all the documentation, and then when you want to start trying it out, then you have a contact sales button and you're completely blocked. You cannot do nothing. You don't know what it will cost because the pricing is not clear. You don't know what you will get when you click that button, and so on. I think this is not what you should do in 2022 and upcoming.
What I still want developer portals to also give us more recommendations of what other services they could use, which very few of them do it today. So I've seen this in Visa Developer Portal, where if I either can choose an API or I can choose a use case, and the use case shows me nicely which are the APIs you would need to package and use this as a use case. And also what I don't want to see more is a dead end, which Sophie said, contact me or get more technical support. And then you don't know what happens once you go in production. What happens? How is the life of the API? Is it still being used, or what happens? Yeah.
What are the things you could imagine would be awesome?
I have seen one portal that did sort of a pilot or a beta version of a low-code application. And that really made me dream, because if we could get to the point where we can just drag and drop features into a low-code platform, but maybe not just one, but let's say one of the top 10 or more, but that would be quite cool.
If developer portals could make it little more, I wouldn't say colorful, but more creative, to explain that, oh, using this API, you could do this without using words. That would be a completely out of the box experience, along with a no code. So drag and drop and whoosh, you have your product ready, and then you can start using it. So that would be something quite exciting to see it in the coming years.
the success of the API all comes back to the design of the API and how an API is a user experience. And by designing APIs from a user experience perspective and making them easier to accomplish whatever task it is they do, that everything from that just becomes easier. The documentation becomes clear, the application becomes clearer, the use becomes easier. When I've heard things that APIs aren't they aren't the UI. Well, they are to the developer. And a developer is using an API very, very intensely, and so not thinking of their use when you're developing the API is ignoring the audience. And in a consumer product, that would be unthinkable. Like, no, we have to get we have to do customer research, we have to do focus groups, we have to do all this. But for an API, those conversations are rarely heard. I've heard that error messages aren't user experiences, and I couldn't disagree more. Error messages are very critical user experiences. And so I think applying, taking the user experience methodologies back up the chain to the API design, when they're actually coming up with how it does what it does. I think that's the key, the secret to success that we've been sitting on all this time, but still seems to be undiscovered for some reason.
It's relatively rare that people go out and do developer experience testing. So actually putting it in front of real developers and watching them struggle with it. I did a developer observation session for a really large brand names API platform last year, and it was remarkable watching them. I would say probably 70% of them couldn't get past the authentication stage within the first hour of the observation session. And you have to think, surely someone already knew that within the company. But the problem is that lack of resources, lack of understanding of developers as human beings who are varied and have thoughts and feelings and needs, as opposed to just being some kind of stop on a flowchart, means that the same level of product building and research and empathy for the end user, who is the developer in this case, doesn't seem to go into these products enough.
I think this gets back to your comment earlier about applying product methodologies and product development. It's that component where if you were to compare an API to any other commercial product, and show the process, the product developments who've developed other successful products would just, I don't know, stare in amazement. Like, how could you do that? I just can't help but think that.
I would always go back to the research and the observation with real life developers, because that helps you to uncover all those things you might never have thought about.
Very excited to whom you chose as award winners. We'll see. Thank you for all of the effort and attention. A lot of goodwill, I think, that you have put into this. We are very, very grateful and honored to have your expertise and your focus on the nominees. And I hope that everybody's portals are going to become better because of the advice and the nudges that you are giving. So thank you in the name of everyone who has their eyes on this awards program.
Well, thank you to you and Pronovix as well.
Yeah, thank you for the organization that makes it easy to spend the hours without regretting.
Yeah, and special thank you to you and your organization, because you all have been putting so much efforts to bring out this community out. And I would also suggest everyone to keep reading your blogs and articles so that they can keep improving their developer portal for next year's nominations.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure and an inspiration. And after doing this for a few years now, it's encouraging to see the growth and the improvement over time. So I'm optimistic. And like I said, as someone who's in the business, it's inspiring for me to see how everyone else is improving. So that gives me new ideas too. So I appreciate all their hard work and look forward to next year's entrance.
It cannot be said enough how grateful we are for the 11 people who have put so much effort into looking through all of this. I don't know if we cut that part out, but most jurors say they were actually very, very surprised in what level of detail they are expected to survey the nominees. What you have seen, these two recordings, they were cut by me with a bleeding heart to be short enough to stream on an event like this. My colleague Claudia has put into the chat, and may I ask you to put that again, please? We have the full versions online from the first interview already, and we're publishing the other two tomorrow, which are, well, considerably longer than what you have seen today. Also with a transcript, which we couldn't solve here in this platform, but so you can also see it in the text version. And in the name of all eyes and ears of this research and celebration effort, I want to thank all of you who support it in ways big and small. The people and organizations who make the decision to build awesome developer portals, and those who make it happen, which can be the same people sometimes. All jurors, past, present, and future, who put their effort and continue into the awards. We want to appreciate and recognize the more and more widening array of technologists who build these outstanding portals. We want to show that such amazing portals are possible, all the while exposing the finely orchestrated and expensive work that took the creators to these results. And as every year, the jury voted to give a Best Overall Developer Portal award in the SME and in the Enterprise Club. We also have a public voting. So let's see. Who are the winners this year? For the SME developer, the Best SME Small and Medium Enterprise Developer Portal Award, the winner in 2022 is congratulations to Platform OS. I'd like to invite to the stage, I guess, Diana. Diana Lakatos, Director of Documentation at Platform OS. And I see Adam. Adam is the CEO of Platform OS. And to those of you who were looking the first Gala event, this might not come as such a big surprise because Platform OS took 3 awards: accessibility, DX innovation, and beyond REST implementations. And now you won the Umbrella Best SME Portal Award. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Can I ask you, Diana, would you tell a little bit more, as Director of Documentation, what do you influence on this developer portal and where are you pushing things there?
Well, I'm keeping all the threads in my hand, so I'm coordinating everything, and then of course I jump into write and edit, and basically I strategize to know where we are heading, to have a roadmap, have some plans. We have some very interesting plans for the future too. So basically everything.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, and congratulations again. And thank you, Adam, for standing behind to create such an outstanding portal.
Well, all credit to Diana and our team and our channel partners of developers. We treat our documentation as the most important part of our business, and it shows. So thank you, and thanks for all the participants who push us to be better.
Congratulations and happy celebrations today.
Thank you very much.
During the nomination process, the nominees have to self-select if they can consider themselves a small and medium-sized organization or an enterprise. From among all the finalists, the jury voted for giving out the Best Enterprise Developer Portal in the year 2022 to, drum roll, Empathy Platform Docs. Congratulations. Hi.
Hi, good afternoon.
Welcome to this stage, and congratulations. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, I'm Pedro Ndiviela. I'm a front-end developer on Empathy Platform Docs. And well,
that means that you're very close at heart also, and probably in practice, to the award in the visual design category that the Empathy Platform Docs took.
Yes, I worked a lot. Well, we worked a lot. Right now, we are 2 front-end developers. We worked a lot in the interface, trying to apply the designs really in the best manner possible, and working, because, you know, between designers and front-end, sometimes there are like some back and forth, you know, trying to get to a middle point or to a conclusion on how to do things. So, yeah.
And the jurors were saying a lot of good things. On a funny note, they were also very taken away about your no cookie policy on the site, which is in a very lovely manner conveyed. Can you tell me just a little bit more? Who are the people who are behind the creation of this portal? Who's working on the docs here?
Well, right now we are 3 technical writers, 2 front-end developers, 1 UX designer, but a lot of UX designers have passed through the portal during its life, and well, 1 Scrum Master, 1 product owner.
Mm-hmm.
And well, we are like we have been working on this portal right now for almost 2 years. We are really obsessed in trying to get things better again and again. So in general, we all work in a way that we are all the time proposing ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So that's usually how we work.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is proposing all the time. Sometimes it manages to get done, and sometimes it doesn't.
Keep it up, please. And thank you very much for creating such an inspiring developer portal. And congratulations again.
Thank you very much.
And I have also the honor to announce the public voting prize. And there was an online process this fall for public voting. And let's see who won that one. The winner of the public voting category is BNI Digital Services. Congratulations. Hello. And I think I have on the stage Johan.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yes, hi. Thank you. Okay. I manage the overall digital services in Bank Negara Indonesia actually, and API is part of the system that in my custody. So
what does that
I think
mean? Approximately how many people do you work with?
For API team, we have 20 people, and we split it into 3 teams. That there is the API development team, the API onboarding team, and API portal team. So this the work of our overall team actually, not only the API portal team. This second award that we received this year.
Yes. And congratulations again. And thank you very, very much. I guess you're calling in from a time zone where it's very late at night or very early in the morning.
Now it's already Friday in Indonesia.
So you're that much closer to the next football play. No.
Yes.
Thank you again and congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Laura, send my best regard to Christoph.
I will do so.
Thank you.
And on that note about Christoph, who was my co-host at the gala before, he's Christoph Fantoma, and he's the CEO and the co-founder of Pronovix. If you would like to hear more about developer portals and API teams, allow me to pull your attention to some of the periodicals that we are running. The DevPortals newsletter, where I really hope that this QR code is pointing to, talks to you about research publications and those of others we find particularly interesting as relevant to DevPortals. Some of my favorite additions this year was, for example, the one referring to Matthew Rainbolt's article, and another one on Jane Bloom's thoughts on complexity and systems dynamics and the way, well, we see it superimposed on API documentation. And just before the Christmas holidays, we'll be posting a new episode on each of the sister podcasts. The Resilience podcast is bringing the conversation between Chris McDermott, Christoph Fantoma, and Mark Berkauer. And the API Docs podcast, where yours truly is co-host, is bringing your conversation with Spotify developer relations team. Alvaro Navarro and Sarah Kiburu were talking with me and my co-host about how they do things there and why. Both of these podcasts are of the freestyle, calm conversation persuasion, although the members are very technical folks. If you would like to hear more from a specific team or organization on these podcasts, or you have a suggestion for us for the categories for the next year's Developer Portal Awards, please contact us at info@pronovix.com. Or any other way you can reach us. I'm sure that in the newsletter, there is also some way of how to reach us. And with this, I think I am closing the DevPortal Awards for the year 2022. Thank you for your participation in any way that you participated. And I would love to see you in the awards next year in any way that you would like to participate. Thank you very much for your attention and your support. Goodbye.